Let's talk about that last episode of The Mandalorian. Now, let me give a little bit of disclaimer right now to those of you who are watching that this is not a full spoiler review, but I am going to drop a couple of spoilers in the upcoming conversation. I just want to give you that heads up. This isn't going to be a spoiler-laden discussion, but I got to at least drop a couple of them for the sake of discussion. So I want to give you that heads up and give you the option right now to fast forward. If you're watching this after it's live, fast forward to the Q&A part of the show. If not, and by the way, guys, please don't, even though I'm going to drop one or two little spoilers here, please don't put any spoiler questions in the live chat, because we'll get to that another time. But I do want to give you guys the option to fast forward to that if you so choose. And if you are watching this show live, I want to give you the opportunity right now to maybe, step away from it, come back when we get to live questions, all that kind of stuff. Maybe you don't care, and that's fine. But there, I've given you the disclaimer. Let's talk about Mandalorian, the season finale. I'll tell you what, it was not to me the best episode of the season, but it was up there. It was up there. This was terrific. Right from the opening scene of a conversation between a couple of speeder bike stormtroopers. By the way, I saw some people saying they didn't like that. I thought that was great. We're not going to go into the details of what it is they said, but I thought just the conversation between two speeder bike troopers, I thought that conversation was wonderful. I was eating it up. I really quite enjoyed it. From everything from, the covert, and then ultimately at the end, as Moff Gideon, and this is the big spoiler. This is the one true spoiler I'll give away. As Darth Gideon, as Moff Gideon cuts his way out of a ship with, a dark saber. The dark saber. Now, of course, the dark saber isn't going to mean much to a lot of people who, say, don't know anything about Clone Wars, Rebels, some of the EU stuff. There was actually a novel about the dark saber, the history of the dark saber, and what it represents in the Mandalorian mythology and all that kind of stuff. To give you quick little Cole's notes, picking up with Rebels, at least picking up with Rebels. So Sabine, the little Mandalorian girl, who apparently these Mandalorians have no problem taking off their helmets, and that's cool, whatever. She ends up coming into possession of the Darksaber, I believe on Dathomir. She gets her holds on the Darksaber. She then passes on the Darksaber to Bo-Katan, who is kind of, everybody sees as the rightful leader of the Mandalorians at that point. So clearly, at some point, Moff Gideon probably kills Bo-Katan and takes the Darksaber for himself. It is a one-of-a-kind, very, very special weapon in the Star Wars universe, particularly in the Mandalorian culture. It's a very important weapon. It's a symbolic weapon. And it's just damn cool. It's just damn cool. Kept for a time in the vaults of the Jedi Order, as a matter of fact. But the Darksaber. And so I'm sitting there watching this thing. And at first I thought Gideon was just cutting his way out of the ship. And then you realized, oh my God, that's the effing Darksaber. So that was awesome in and of itself. The whole episode I thought was great. From the action, the use of the various characters, IG-88, everything they do with Cara Dune. Carl Weathers was great in it. I love this Moff Gideon character. They did so little with him, but that made it so effective. And yeah, man, I thoroughly enjoyed it. And I'm looking forward to what they do next year. So again, I don't think the best episode of the season, but I thought a damn good one. And it had Taika Waititi, who directed the finale. I thought it had Taika Waititi's DNA all over it, and I ate it up. I just loved it. I really did. So, by the way, I'm going to let you guys know something. Here's something interesting to share with you guys. I knew, at least I thought I knew, a significant spoiler about The Mandalorian that I chose not to share with you guys because I didn't want to spoil it and I didn't want to spread a spoiler, so I kept it to myself. But as it turns out, that spoiler wasn't real. Here's what it is. I never told you guys this, but before the show even started, I was actually given a bit of information from somebody fairly close to the production that Boba Fett shows up in the finale. I was told that. And believe me, I trusted it. And it was from somebody fairly close to the production of the thing. It wasn't John Favreau, but I'm just saying it was somebody fairly close to the production of Mandalorian. And I got told that Boba Fett shows up in the finale of Mandalorian. And I made the decision at the time that, you know what? I'm not going to share this information. I'm not going to share this information. I shared it with one or two friends, but that's about it. But I decided I'm not going to share this information because I don't want to be partly responsible for the, disseminating of big spoilers that'll ruin it for people. So I thought I'll keep it to myself. So I'm sitting there watching Mandalorian last night going, maybe this is the part that Boba Fett turns up. Oh, he didn't. Okay, that's fine. Maybe this is the part that Boba Fett turns up. Now, not that I wanted Boba Fett in this show. I actually didn't want him in this show, but I was told and I felt fairly confident that I knew, Boba Fett shows up and I'm just not going to tell people about it. Well, now I'm really glad I never broke that as a story because he didn't show up. He clearly didn't show up. So on one hand, I'm sitting there watching this and feeling a little perplexed. It's like I was told and I trusted this source pretty well. I was told that Boba Fett shows up and he doesn't. And then I was just like, oh my God, I'm so glad I didn't share that information on my show with people. Oh my God, I'm so glad I did. This is why it's good not to be in the scoop business, ladies and gentlemen. This is why it's good not to be in the scoop business. So yeah, I'm just very, very happy I didn't share that with anybody. But yeah, anyway, guys, I loved this episode of The Mandalorian. I think maybe a little bit later today or maybe tomorrow, we'll do an open spoiler discussion about the finale of Mandalorian and how we feel about The Mandalorian as a show as a whole. But we'll save that for a little bit later. Anyways, that's how I felt about it. I thought it was great. How did you guys feel about this finale of Mandalorian? Jump down into the comments section below and let me know your thoughts.